Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our day 2 of Education and Migration Conclave 2021. The very first session we are starting right now is related to 485 visa. Joining the panel to give us in-depth insights of 485 visa is Mr. Harjeet Singh Chahal, who is the director of Aussizz Group Thomastown. He is one of our most decorated registered migration agents. He takes pride in providing the right guidance and strategies to the international student community. He is highly knowledgeable about the 485 visa category and understands the fine print about the different 485 visa extensions for current visa holders in regional Australia. Sorry about the technical glitches that we are having today.
Hello everyone, myself Harjeet Singh Chahal. I am director of Aussizz Group in Thomastown, and today I have very special episode for you, which is a temporary graduate visa that every student who arrives in Australia, they apply for this graduate visa until and unless they are not eligible for permanent residency straight after completing their studies. Nowadays, as you all aware, that migration in Australia is getting a little bit tough day by day. That's why most of the students, they want to apply for temporary graduate visa. During this 485 visa, they can gain some more points or they can make themselves eligible for this temporary graduate 485 visa, right? And this temporary graduate visa, they have two streams, which is one is graduate work stream and the another one is post-study work stream. Both of these streams allow you to work full time. There is no work and study limitations on both of these graduate work stream and post-study work stream visas. Now, graduate work stream visa, those people are eligible who arrive before 5th of November 2011. This visa, if anybody arrived before 5th of November 2011, until and unless they have completed any study in Australia, which is like multiple courses, certificate 3, 4 diploma, or they might have completed bachelor, masters, or PhD. If they arrive before 5th of November 2011 and they never applied for temporary graduate and they want to apply now, they'll be eligible for graduate work stream. A person who arrive like any time and they have completed only certificate 3, 4 and diploma or advanced diploma level courses, they are eligible for this stream as well. Like most of the vocational courses students, they complete studies, they are eligible for graduate work stream visas. Now, if to apply for this visa, provisional skill assessment is must. What is provisional skill assessment? Like for example, any student who has completed certificate 3 in hospitality in cookery or certificate 4 in cookery and diploma of hospitality. And these three courses he or she can combine to apply graduate work stream, but provisional skill assessment is must. What includes provisional skill assessment? First of all, the study that you have completed, you need to choose an occupation from medium and long-term skill strategic list. Any person who has completed cookery, they can choose occupations such as chef instead of cook. They cannot apply provisional skill assessment for a cook and apply for a graduate work stream. They have to choose the occupation chef. A person who has completed hairdressing certificate 3, 4 or diploma, they cannot apply for this graduate work stream because hairdresser occupation is not in medium long-term skill strategic list. That's in short-term skill strategic list. That means in short, they won't be eligible for graduate work stream. Now, what includes provisional skill assessment? Provisional skill assessment includes minimum 360 hours work experience. When we talk about 360 hours work experience, that can be part-time, that can be casual, that can be 10 hours a week, that can be 18, 15 or 20 hours a week. Of course, you cannot work more than 20 hours during the course of your study. During your studies, you can work full time during your holidays, you can include those period of your employment for the purpose of provisional skill assessment, but make sure you shouldn't work full time during study period. Of course, you cannot, because your student visa don't allow you to work until and unless at the moment chef can work full time because government allow you to work. Some of the health occupations, people can work full time just because of current pandemic situation. Now, when you work 360 hours with any employer, make sure you must have an employment reference from your employer, and make sure you have pay slips or invoices. Look, invoice, I have got many questions from the clients, like should we have an invoice or pay slips? The person who is working in construction industries such as painter, bricklayer, or you can say carpenter kind of occupation, invoices is fine. You can work on ABN as a sole trader, and you can work as a subcontractor with any of the employer for the purpose of 360 hours. And you must have an invoice and still an employment reference from the person to whom you have worked for. Then bank statement is required by TRA. You need to present that money is coming into your bank account from the person who is paying you for the purpose of your employment. And you can have a super, if possible, right? Minimum 3 documents are enough when you apply for TRA skill assessment, right? And it must mention your name and your position at the workplace along with the duties. And a person must sign the document, whoever gives you the employment reference. Now, this is a graduate work stream. You know, in graduate work stream, you can combine multiple courses, as I mentioned earlier, 3, 4, and diploma, and that could be only one course, but the minimum requirement is 92 weeks of study, and you must be physically present during your course minimum of 16 months. When I say 92 weeks of study, that means a one course could be 52 weeks and another course could be 45 weeks or 40 weeks, you know, and that's how you can manage 92 weeks to apply graduate work stream. Now let's move on to post-study work stream. Post-study work stream is a stream if anyone arrives on or after 5th of November 2011, and they must have completed the courses bachelor or above, and they can combine multiple courses. If, for example, they have completed 1 year master, like most of the cases people do MBA and MPA, which is 1 + 1 year, and these two multiple courses can take you to get a post-study work stream visa granted. And now master by research gives you, as I mentioned, 3-year visa, and PhD graduates can have 4-year visa. Now, this visa post-study work stream does not require any provisional skill assessment. If you, this post-study work stream allow you to have a visa for minimum 2 years, and it can go up to 4 years, depend upon the study that you have completed. Now, again, this post-study work stream required 92 weeks of study and 16 months of stay during your study period. Now, I have already mentioned in past these Australian study requirements. You guys can write down or have a quick look. That graduate work stream required 2-year cry course, and it can combine 2 or more related course, and courses must be related to nomination occupation. Now, this one is, for example, anyone has completed certificate 3 in cookery and certificate 4 in cookery, and both of these courses are not a duration of minimum 92 weeks, and they want to combine diploma of business. Now, diploma of business, immigration is not accepting because we have to relate it to the previous study. We have in past, some of the students came to us, those who got the visa refusals, because they have combined certificate 3, certificate 4 of hospitality with diploma of business. Now, when we say related, try to get diploma of hospitality, rather than diploma of business for the purpose of 92-week study. And 60-month physical stay, I've already mentioned, that must be there during your 2 years 𝐸𝐿 registered course. Similarly, with post-study work stream, 2-year 𝐸𝐿 course can combine 2 or more related courses, which is MBA, MPA, bachelor and higher, must maintain the study level. Now, when we say 2 or more courses for post-study work stream, you cannot say I've got MPA for 1 year and now I want to do any diploma or advanced diploma for the purpose of post-study. You cannot combine advanced diploma with MPA of 1 year. That has to be bachelor or above, both of the courses that you are combined for the purpose of post-study work stream. Now, one more thing that I want to add on here. When you apply TR and you have studied in regional area for minimum period of 2 years and you have stayed in regional area for minimum period of 2 years during your study, you may extend your 485 visa from 1 to 2 years. Now, you cannot say I have studied in regional area and I have stayed in metropolitan area. Then you cannot apply for the 485 extension. Look, as I mentioned, that 485 visa can be extended up to 1 to 2 years. It depends where have you been studied. Now, they have mentioned this regional area in category 2 and category 3. Category 1 is metropolitan, where you cannot extend your 485 visa. Category 2 is if any person is lived in those particular postcodes and studied in those particular postcode, then they can apply for 1 year extension. But category 3 is if they have studied in another postcodes and lived in another postcode that they have mentioned in category 3, they'll be eligible for 2 years extension. Please make sure before you apply, must seek the professional advice. Give us a call. We will look into your study and the duration of your stay, and then we will actually advise you that you can extend 485 visa for 1 year or 2 years. The common criteria for 485, the age must be under 50 years old before you apply for 485 visa. There are less people that came to Australia and applied for a visa and they want to apply for 485 and they are not eligible for 485 visa, but most of the people are eligible because when you study, of course, you are less than 50 years old. All applicant must be in Australia when you apply for 485 visa. Now, in case anyone who traveled to overseas during their study and the lockdown was there in Australia and they're unable to come back to Australia, then they can apply for 485 visa. But please must seek our advice. We will let you know the other requirements that you must meet before you apply. Now, the other requirements includes you must be recent graduate. That means you must have completed your study in last 6 months. That you complete your study, for example, on 5th of January. And then you want to apply for a 485 visa. And some of the people, they complete their study in January. They'll be thinking that their visa is expiring in 8th of August, which is almost 8 months. And then they say we can apply 485 just before the visa expiry. But they are not eligible because 6 months period passes. That means they have to apply before the 6 months period of their recent completion of studies. Now, one more thing I want to add on here. Some of the students, they are studying and they have to extend their student visa. And they only left with 2 months study, right? And they apply for the extension. They are on a bridging visa and they want to, they're on a bridging visa and they complete their study in those 2 months period. And after 2 months period, completion of their study, they have the completion letter and transcript in their hand and they are waiting for their student visa. Look, they shouldn't be waiting for their student visa because the student visa they have applied for, the study they have already completed. Now they should apply immediately for the TR application for a 485 visa because they are still eligible, because the last visa, substantive visa they were holding was in 6 months as well, because the visa that they initially had at the time of arrival in Australia expired only 2 months ago, and they applied for the extension and they complete their study in those 2 months, and now they can apply for TR. They'll be having bridging visa C, and then we will advise accordingly. Now, the another requirement for them for 485 visa is at least you have 6 overall in IELTS and 5 minimum in each module, which is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Now for PT, which is very popular nowadays, and we have a very special going on at PT tutorials that you can jump on. We have a very good material for you guys where you can easily achieve this goal, which is 50 overall with minimum 36 each, right? And one more thing I need to add on here is AFP, which is very important for the purpose of 485 visa. Police check, which is Australian Federal Police check, must be applied 1 day before you apply for your 485 visa. And you can apply for 485 with a receipt of AFP. And AFP might be, you'll be receiving AFP within next maybe 1 to 2 weeks, but you can still eligible to apply for 485 visa if you apply for AFP 1 day before. Now, health insurance requirement is must, and you should take the health insurance before or after you apply for 485 visa. Medical examination is again must, and immigration officer can request you for this medical examination. You can book your medical, and sometimes you might get your medical date booked late, but you shouldn't be panic, because immigration officer, they are now aware that these dates are getting late, and you might be getting your medical date in 2 to 3 months, even though they have requested that you must provide medical examination in next 28 days. Please provide the booking to the case officer so that they can wait for your medical examination. Now, provisional skill assessment for graduate work stream, which I have already explained in past, that some of the occupation are in trade, like cook or chef, and you can say motor mechanic, bricklayer. These kind of occupation you should go through TRA. Now, TRA required 360 hours work experience for this nominated occupation. I have explained earlier that you need to have minimum 360 hours experience, and then you can provide all the documentation along with your TRA application. Now, another thing, which is if you need to have a skill assessment in accounting, then you can go through CPA, IPA, ICA, or CA. These are the accounting graduate skill assessment authorities that will assess your accounting assessment. Look, to get a skill assessment from accounting, from CPA, IPA, etc., you must have minimum 7 each, right? But for the 485 skill assessment, you do not need 7 each, 6 each is enough, and you will get the 485 skill assessment. And then applicant required to have a competent English, as I mentioned, PTE, IELTS academic or general. If you can't get 6 each, if we can nominate internal auditor occupation in Aussizz. Now, this is the occupation. If you can't get 6 each, you can apply for the internal auditor occupation, depend upon the subjects that you have completed during your accounting. Now, IT graduates. IT graduate, for the purpose of provisional skill assessment, you need to check what sort of subjects you have completed. Then you need to choose the particular occupation according to your subjects that you have completed. For example, anybody have completed masters in networking, they need to choose computer network and system engineer. And other people who has completed some programming subjects, they need to be choosing occupation as per their subjects. Look, most of the students don't need to panic about this provisional skill assessment for post-study work stream who has completed IT, accounting, or engineering, because they don't need to have a provisional skill assessment if they have their first student visa granted on or after 5th of November 2011. Similarly, engineering graduate, they can choose the occupation from their subjects, and then they may need to have a CDR reports to get a full skill assessment. Look, I will just add on one more thing over here for the skill assessment, for a migration skill assessment, which is full skill assessment for the purpose of PR. Those engineering graduates, they have completed CDR reports is for those who has completed master in professional accounting or master in professional engineering or MBA, that sort of studies, which won't lead them to permanent residency pathway in Australia. That means they have to have a skill assessment for the for the purpose of PR on the basis of bachelor studies. Look, when you get a skill assessment on the basis of bachelor, if your qualification is not accredited, and some of the qualification are accredited, like in Washington Accord in engineering, own, like who has completed study here in Australia, their qualification is obviously accredited. We need to check that first, and then the other qualification those people have completed in overseas, they need to get a skill assessment on the basis of CDR. CDR is competency demonstration report, which includes minimum 3 career episodes and which includes CPD and summary statement. Now, career episode include 4 steps, which is introduction, which is background, and which is personal engineering activity and summary. Whatever projects you have completed during your bachelor's or during your employment period in overseas or in Australia, you need to mention your role in that career episode, and you need to have full explanation. You don't need to talk about other people who are the part of your project. Just talk about your personal role. I'll just give you an overview. For further details, you can look into the Engineers Australia website. You will get more details. Now, nursing graduate, to apply for a skill assessment, a person must to have a APRA registration. APRA registration required minimum 7 each, and then you can apply for a skill assessment to NMAC, which may take another 6 to 8 weeks, and then NMAC skill assessment, if you don't have any experience after the APRA registration in aged care or in medical or anywhere else, then you can choose the occupation not elsewhere classified. Or if you have minimum 3-month experience in aged care or in other field which is medical or mental health, then you can apply for the registered nurse aged care skill assessment. Now, temporary graduate 485 subsequent entrant visa. This visa is if anybody got a visa as a primary applicant and they want to bring their spouse to Australia or their kids to Australia, they can apply for this subsequent entrant visa. And this visa, first of all, you can apply if you are married or if you are a de facto partner. And you need to show the evidence, if you are a de facto partner, that you are living and sharing all the emotional, financial, physical kind of a stuff with your partner for a minimum period of 12 months. To show all the evidences, you need to show the address proofs, which includes your lease agreements, which includes utility bills, which includes a joint bank account where you have spent most of the money for your daily households expenditures, and you can show the relationship by showing the WhatsApp, Facebook chat, Facebook status, or affidavit from both of your parents. You need to write down the relationship history, how you met each other, and you need to show the pictures at the marriage. Or if you are de facto partner, you need to show the pictures socially with your friends, family, or anywhere wherever you hang around. And another stuff which is required for subsequent entrant is similarly police checks, health insurance. You can have a joint health insurance when you apply for subsequent entrant visa, and some of the other documents which is very minor. You can give us a call, book an appointment, we will explain in detail. Mostly I have covered the documents, those are required for the purpose of temporary, and primary applicant obviously must have some period of their 485 visa left before they apply for a subsequent entrant visa. It is a paper-based application. It used to be paper-based application. Now you can apply online, and you can include all this information that I have mentioned earlier, and dependent can get a visa up to primary applicant visa expiry. If your primary applicant have a 1 year visa left, then the dependent will be having 1 year as well. It's not like when you apply you will have a 2 years visa. You will have the same duration as of your primary applicant visa holder. You cannot add your spouse in your tier application if your spouse in Australia, but now because of pandemic you can add you, but that spouse depend, like a spouse must be on your student visa before, and that if for let me just give you an example for this. If your spouse was on your student visa and he or she went to India and they stuck and they cannot come back. You are in Australia and your spouse in overseas and they were a holder of a student visa similarly like you. You complete your study in Australia and your spouse went to India during this pandemic period, and then you can include your spouse if they are in overseas. Similarly, if you went to overseas with your spouse and both stuck in overseas and you have completed your study, you can apply this temporary residence visa even though you are offshore. Now, I've got many questions earlier when there was a news that spouse cannot apply for a TR again. Yes, you can apply for a TR again. Yes, you can apply for a TR again if your spouse study during this TR period and they apply for TR as a primary applicant and you will be a dependent. You cannot apply TR as a primary applicant again, but you can be a dependent of any other primary applicant, which is shown. You can. Now, guys, this was an overview for TR, temporary graduate visa, which has two stream, graduate work stream, post-study work stream, and both of these stream will get you visa up to 18 months to 2 years, and post-study work stream can get you visa up to 2 years to 4 years, depend upon the study that you have completed. And you can extend your 485 visa if you have studied in regional area. And you can include your dependent as well. I have explained everything. For more details, please give us a call. Now, permanent visa. Permanent visa, now I'll be discussing general skill migration visa. General skill migration visa, they have three streams, which is 189 and 190 and 491. 189 is an independent stream, as I have mentioned here, skilled independent, and 190 is a state sponsored stream, and 491 is a regional sponsored and family sponsored. Now I'll be discussing here only first of all 189 and 491 family sponsored. Now medium long, when you apply for this 491 family sponsor and 189, your occupation must be in medium long term skill strategic list. You cannot apply for 189 or 491 family sponsor if your occupation is in short term skill strategic list. Your occupation must be in medium long term skill strategic list. And then when you apply for 189 skill independent, the points and everything required I'll be discussing in a later stage. Now, short term skill occupation list. This is the list where people can apply for 190 skill nomination, which is state nomination, and 491 state or regional territory nomination. Now, 190 state nomination, when you apply, you need to check the eligibility criteria of that particular state, and your occupation you must be present there, and you must meet the minimum criteria of that particular state. Now, short-term skill occupation list can apply for these visas. For example, a person who is hairdresser, they can apply for short-term, they can apply for 190 or 491, both. They are not eligible for 491 family and 189 independent stream. Now, general skill migration visa, nutshell. Now, here a person must require minimum 6 in each module, which is in PT 50 in each module. Okay, you must have a competent English and you must have a full skill assessment. You know, that could be in medium long term and that could be in short-term skill occupation list. Medium long-term list includes software developer, programmer, or engineering technologist, or motor mechanic, chef. And short-term skill occupation list includes, as I mentioned, hairdresser, marketing specialist, that sort of occupation. This is very important. If any person who has completed any kind of study in Australia and they are unable to get a skill assessment in the medium long term in Australia, and they have completed, for example, Bachelor of Business in overseas or Bachelor of Marketing in overseas, and they have got a reasonable experience, which is minimum 1 year in last 5 years, then they'll be applying for a skill assessment as a marketing specialist, and that will be in a short-term skill occupation list, and a person will be eligible to apply for 190 and 491. And you must have at least minimum 65 points. Now 189, because it's independent, that means you have 65 points of your own. But for 190, I will explain in later stage. 60 points is enough because 5 points you'll be getting from a state nomination. For 491, 50 points is enough because you will be getting 15 points from a regional state nomination. I'll be discussing that in a later stage. Now here, general skill migration, 189 independent, 65 points independently, full skill assessment is required for general skill migration visa. You won't be eligible for any of these 189, 190 or 491 visa if you do not have a full skill assessment. Some of the people, students, they contact me, they say we have completed study and we have 80 points and they want to apply for a direct PR because their other friends who has completed study earlier to them and they are on TR, they applied for a PR, they are not aware for full skill assessment. They thought like they have just applied with 80 points. I just need to tell everyone that skill assessment is must before you even think about this general skill migration visa. And to apply for a full skill assessment, I mentioned it depends upon the study that you have completed, depend upon the experience that you have completed. Every qualification have got their own way to apply full skill assessment. English requirement, as I mentioned, 6 each is enough, but then it depends. Like 189, right? 65 points is enough to apply, and that means 65 just to apply, just to be in the queue, not to get the invitation. Like many of the accounting or IT or engineering student have got 65 or above, that means everybody is getting invitation. It doesn't work like that. 65 is just to meet the minimum requirement. Then it depends what is the trend of immigration. Are they inviting 189 with how many points, 90, 95 or 100, or are they are not inviting? Since, as you all aware, since almost March 2020 immigration, they did not invite any accountant or many of the IT and engineering occupation. They have invited some of the engineering occupation in past, in last financial year, which was in I think June or July. And since then there is no 189 invitation except medical laboratory scientist and the other health occupations. They have not invited IT engineers or other motor mechanics or chefs for a while for 189. Many people though got skill assessment as a motor mechanic, they are thinking they have 80 points. They will be why they're not getting 189 invitation. They thought if accountants are not getting, we know that accounting to get invitation is tough, but we should be getting with 80 points. But immigration is not inviting for a while with 80 points for motor mechanic, chefs and other occupations as well. It's more than 80, like in 85 or 90 they're not inviting, but sooner or later they'll be start inviting. We are hoping from next financial year, and then we will be keeping you posted. Please keep checking our Aussizz group page. Everything, every requirement or any update from immigration, we put on our Aussizz group page in a very short period of time. Please, if you haven't liked it, like our page because it's useful to you guys. We have made that page, a Facebook page for you, because just to keep you updated. Now 189 is a permanent visa. once you get the invitation, then you'll be getting a direct PR. That means after, if you have meet the requirement of citizenship, then after 1 year of your PR, you will be applying for citizenship. 190 is a state sponsorship, which required minimum 60 points at this stage, and 5 points you will be getting from the state sponsorship if you meet the state requirements, and if you have minimum 6 each and full skill assessment. Now guys, if you have 65 points, don't you ever think that you won't get invitation from any state for 190 direct PR, because I recently got invitation with 65 points in IT occupations in Victoria and in New South Wales. And of course in other occupations, because I mostly work in Victoria, but that's why most of the client I have from Victoria region, but we have all the update that we are getting 65 points invitation from South Australia, from Queensland, from New South Wales, etc., etc. It depends upon the occupation that you have worked for. It depends upon the eligibility criteria of that particular state. Please get in touch with the migration agent near to you, or you can visit to your Aussizz Group nearest office. We will definitely let you know if you are eligible with 65 points for 190 state nomination, which is direct PR, which is a permanent visa, which is end result is exactly the same as 189. You will be applying for citizenship after 1 year period if you meet the citizenship requirement and 190 state sponsorship requirement. Now 491 regional state sponsorship and relative sponsorship. 491 have got two types. Regional sponsorship is depend upon the criteria of the particular state that you have applied for. New South Wales was open, and they have invited many people in 491 from regional state sponsorship who has got the experience in regional areas, like all the trade occupations, chef, motor mechanic, etc. They got invitation through us with 50 points, even though they were not working 12 months. Still we have got them invite by preparing their application in an accurate manner, and we have present their application with all the documentation, and they have got the invite. Sometimes the state requirement says something over the internet, but you need to interpret it properly, and then you need to check it. And obviously we have got the experience, we use our expertise to apply for the application for our clients for state nomination and regional area. You must seek the professional advice, guys, before you get disappointed, before you won't get invited after applying by yourself, or any incompetent or any person you don't have a basic knowledge related to this. Now obviously full skill assessment is required for both 491 regional state nomination and relative sponsorship. Now relative sponsorship, I hereby explain a little bit for you guys. If you have any family member living in designated regional area of Australia, and regardless how long they've been living over there, they can prove with the evidences that they are living in designated regional area, and they can prove the evidences such as address evidence, utility bill, their lease agreement, or if any of your relative own their house with all their kind of bills, bank statements, pay slips, etc. They can present those documents to the case officer, and case officer will look into the document and check that this particular sponsor is living in designated regional area. Regardless how long they are living in that regional area, they can sponsor their relative. And most of the cases, the relatives are first cousin, guys. Second cousin you cannot include. That has to be your first cousin, brother, son or daughter of your mother's brothers, or your father's brother or mother's sister, father's sister. And we will check the eligibility once you let us know like how you are related to that particular person who is giving you a relative sponsorship. And this 491 visa is granted for minimum period of 5 years. It is a temporary visa which lead you to permanent residency. But now what is the requirement after you get a grant of this 491 visa? You have a visa for 5 years and you must meet the minimum requirement of 3 years living in that designated regional area. You must meet the requirement. How you gonna meet it? Living and working. When you work, you must make minimum 53,900 a year. That could be one job or multiple job, and you cannot combine your partner's income into 53,900. I'm getting a question. Sometimes there is a couple and couple says like, what if I make 40 and my partner make 15? Then we can combine. Immigration says no, that has to be individual income, a one person income, 53,900 a year, and that could be one job or multiple jobs, and that must be in regional area. Some of the cases, some of the question we are getting from clients, what if I live in regional area and work in the city, and would that be possible? I say no, you must be living and working in regional area. If your employer is in regional area, it depends. Like sometimes that employer might have some jobs in the city, and for that we will discuss with you as per your case, and we will let you know that you are not breaching the condition. Now, if we go for a point test for these particular visas, then 25 points you will be getting for the age between 18 to 24. Now, when I say 18 to 24, that means 24 months, 24 years, 11 months and 30 days. You still will be getting 25 points since you meet the minimum 25 years of age. When you are 25-year-old, that means you will be getting 30 points. Similarly with 32, many people get panic when they are 32. They are not 33. They think they have lost 5 points. I have explained them. You don't need to worry because it's again 32 years, 11 months and 30 days, right? For further details, please get in touch. We will definitely look into your file accordingly. Now, another thing that includes point test is English test. Now, English language requirement 6 each in IELTS will not give you any points. I've got many questions. Those people have got 6.5 each or 6 each. They might be thinking they are getting 5 points. They're not getting any points. Hit 0. Okay, until and unless you have minimum 7 in each module, then you will be getting 10 points. And PTE, you need minimum 65 each. Guys, there was a news that PTE has increased their point, but immigration, they hasn't increased their points. PTE, they have increased their points. They are saying like there will be like 69 to equivalent to IELTS 7 each. That's for them, but immigration at the moment still accepting 65 for the purpose of 10 points and 79 for the purpose of 20 points. If anything update from immigration, please keep checking our website and please keep checking our Facebook page for further details. Now, another factor that include for point test is qualification. Person who has completed certificate 3, 4 or diploma or advanced diploma level of studies, they'll be getting 10 points. And a person who has completed bachelor or above, they'll be getting 15 points. Bachelor or above means bachelor and masters. And then PhD have got 20 points. If anybody completed qualification, which is specialist education qualification in natural and physical science, IT engineering related technologies, but has to be specialist. Normal master of engineering or master of IT in networking kind of study won't give you extra 5 points because that's not specialist education qualification. For further details, please give us a call. We will tell you your qualification can include extra 5 points or not. Now, Australian study. Australian study, at least 2 years of study in Australia will give you 5 points. As I explained earlier, minimum 92 weeks of study is required, or 16 months of stay is required to apply for TR. And when you apply for TR, which is 485 visa, then automatically you will be eligible for Australian study points. If your TR is granted, that immigration only grant temporary residence if you meet the Australian study requirements. Now, don't get confused with extra 5 points when we talk about 10 points for diploma or 15 points from bachelor. 15 plus 5 points of Australian study combined will be 20 points. You know, some of the agent might say you have completed bachelor, you have 20 points. What are they doing when they are telling you that you have 20 points? They are including your Australian study, Australian 2-year study points into your total points, like 5 plus 15 from bachelor, which is 20 points. Now, Australian work experience. If you have 1 year experience minimum in Australia and less than 3 years, that means you have 5 points. 3 years but less than 5 years, 10 points. 5 years but less than 8 years, 15. Now, even though you have 7.5 years, still you will be getting 15 points until and unless you give all the documentation which meet minimum 8 years, then you will be getting 15. 8 years but less than 10 years, 20 points. Overseas work experience, 3 years less than 5 years, 5 points. 5 years less than 8 years, 10 points. 8 years less than 10 years, 15 points. Okay, and one more thing I need to add on here. Immigration only gives you point if your experience is during last 10 years period. You cannot include points for 15 years period, right? That's why over here immigration says less than 10 years, because they only gives you points in less than 10 years period of time, right? If you have, for example, 3 years period in overseas and you have 3 years period in Australia, that means 10 plus 5, 15 points. Now, what are the documentations involved to claim the experience? To claim the experience, you need first of all an experience letter from your employment that must include your position, your duration, and your hours of work. Most of the times we are getting the letters which does not include the hours or does not include the position properly. They just mention this person has worked in this department, not department in at which position you have worked for. That is very important. And of course, the duties has to be mentioned in whatever duties you have completed in accurate manner, clearly and precisely. Now, another documentation required for Australian work experience is if you work on contract basis, then invoices. If you work on TFN, then payslips and bank statement you need to present along with your super if you work on TFN, and your notice of assessment, which is your last financial year tax return. And overseas work experience required similarly tax document from your country. Some of the country does not have tax, then they don't have to worry. They need to present the bank statements, at least pay slips or invoices along with the employment letter to claim the points. Now, there are other factors to gain additional points for the purpose of point test. For the purpose of permanent residency, 2-year study in regional area will give you 5 points. When we talk about 2-year study in regional area, that means you must live in regional area as well. It includes living and studying in regional area if you are claiming 5 points. Now, what sort of documentation required to claim extra 5 points? You need to have a letter from your course provider which can tell, like, during study his or her address was this, and you need to present your lease agreement or utility bills, bank statement, etc. to show the transaction that you were living in that particular area. And then you can also claim extra 5 points from your partner. Now, extra 5 points from your partner you can only claim if you have minimum 6 in each. If your partner has minimum 6 in each. There's another extra 5 points you can claim from your partner if your partner has a skills assessment as well. And that skill assessment must be in the list the kind of a visa you are applying for. Now, don't get confused here. If any person is applying for 189 visa, then their partner must have a skill assessment in medium long term skill strategic list if they want to include extra 5 points for 189. If you are applying for 190 or 491 regional nomination, then you can include extra 5 points even though your partner's occupation is not in a medium long term list, even though it's in a short term skill strategic list. Extra 5 points you can only have if you have you can only include if you are applying for medium long term list and your partner has medium long term skill assessment, and if you're applying for 190, then your partner can have short term skill assessment in his hand. 5 points for English, partner can give you for both 189 and 190, doesn't matter. Now Nati can also give you extra 5 points, which is CCL, very popular. We have a CCL tutorial. You guys can jump on the internet and go for it, and very good material which can help you to claim 5 points. We are getting very positive reviews from our clients that it is very useful. Now professional year, of course, Aussizz Group help you to get admission in professional year in various institutions, and we will definitely help you out. If you want to get professional year, while though you are living in Victoria, professional year in New South Wales, you're living in Victoria, professional year in ACT, definitely a student can contact us and we can get you admission in professional year. Now, another thing for point test is nomination state or family sponsor. State for 190, they give you extra 5 points. I mentioned earlier for 190 purpose, and 491, they give you 15 points for regional nomination. And eligible family sponsor can give you another 15 points. Now, your family member must be residing in designated, regional area. Make sure you check the eligibility of your sponsor first before you claim, and you must have a medium long-term skill assessment. I have already mentioned this, that for 491 visa purpose, you need to stay in regional designated area at least 3 years, and you must work and earn minimum 53,900 in each financial year for a period of 3 years after 491 visa grant. Now, don't get confused. 53,900 is not the requirement before you apply for 491 or during the 491 visa application process. Some of the client, they have an inquiry, they have applied for 491 visa, they are waiting for the visa outcome for last 3 to 6 months, and they are panicked that they are not making enough money for for this visa. I tell them, like, you don't need to worry till the visa grant. When visa grant, of course you need to worry. You need to have 53,900 minimum on board. Now, to get the invitation, I just give you an overview. You might be aware there are two kind of occupation, which is non-pro rata and pro rata. Non-pro rata is ICT security specialist, telecommunication engineer, or the nursing occupations, or the other medical related occupation. This one used to help you guys when the 189 invitation round were there, but now pro rata, non-pro rata occupation doesn't really help, because now you need to focus much on 190 and 491 regional state nominations. Pro rata occupations is accountant, external auditor, software. Guys, don't worry about pro rata, non-pro rata at this stage. Please make yourself eligible for 190 or 491 regional state nomination. At the moment, pro rata, non-pro rata is not going to help you. At the moment, please make yourself eligible for 190 or 491. Get in touch with us and we will tell you what is the state nomination or regional nomination criteria. If you recently finished your studies, don't ask too many questions about pro rata or non-pro rata, because it's not going to help you.
Excuse me, Harjeet.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you in between. There are only 5 minutes left for this meeting, so just wanted to inform you to wrap up the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah. How to improve your English test? Of course, PT coaching. Aussizz Group provide excellent PT coaching. Jump on the internet. PTtutorials.com is there, and they over there we have a very good material that can help you out. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call or book an appointment. We will definitely give you the right advice, as per the immigration requirements. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And let us know if you have any questions. You can send us an email. We help you in student visa, 485, everything. Aussizz Group is one stop for immigration. And this is my email, harjeet.chahal@aussizzgroup.com. And this is my contact, 0414 766 479.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Harjeet, for such a wonderful presentation. And let's take one or two questions. We have 2-3 minutes here.
Yep.
Let me tell you what questions we got popped up in between with. Okay, so one person is asking, I have studied and lived in regional area during my student visa. So now if I move to any metropolitan visa for job, then can I apply for 1 or 2 years extension on 485 visa or not?
No, as per the immigration requirements, you must be living and working in regional area during your 485 period. And immigration can check from the ATO that where you have been working, and I would recommend not to take a risk,
Yeah. Okay, one more question we have here is, what about if subsequent entrant visa already granted, but due to border closed, they couldn't travel? Is it a refund or extend visa available for subsequent entrant visa?
Look, subsequent entrance visa have got the expiry according to the primary applicant. If primary applicant visa is expired, that means their visa will be expired at the same time. You can check the visa grant date, and they won't be able to travel until and unless the travel restrictions will be off. And unfortunately, if the visa expire, they won't be able to extend it.
Okay. And there is one more question here. Is there any other method to extend the 485 visa, probably 408 COVID visa?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Is there any method to extend the 485 visa? Maybe probably a 408 COVID visa?
Look, 408 is not the extension of 485 visa. 408 is a new visa. Like some people apply for student visa and some of the students apply for 408 visa. 408 visa have got their own criteria to meet. They got nothing to do with 485. 408 visa, they have recently, immigration recently came up with. You can apply if you're working as an essential worker and your employer is happy to give you the letter or a contract or the job offer that he is happy to employ you during the period of 408 grant, and you must work for the same employer if you have a 408 visa grant as well. This is a new visa. This is not an extension of 485. Of course, we can check your eligibility. Stay in touch and give us a call, and we will check that you're eligible or not.
Okay, one more question I would like to cover here is regarding regional extension visa. I have done master's degree in mechanical engineering, and I'm living in Geelong, which is regional Victoria. I have utilized 2 years of 485 as well, and now I'm on bridging visa as I have applied for 1 year of extension. The question is, can I move to Melbourne or do job in Melbourne after I get approval of extension?
Look, after yes, you can move, but just to be eligible, you need to meet the requirement of the 485 extension, which you already aware that you must be living and working in regional area during a time period of your 485 grant. But then once you get the extension, then there's no condition.
Thank you so much, Harjeet. Guys, whoever has questions, we have another session of question and answers after all the sessions today, at the end of the day at from 5 to 6. And you guys can join that session and ask your questions over there, get your answers, get all the information from there. Also, we have posted a link here. We would love to have some feedback from all of you for this session, and all the best for the rest of the day. I will look forward to see you all in the upcoming sessions as well. Thank you. Thank you so much, Harjeet.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
everyone for joining this.
Take care.
Thank you.